The gates of Sanctuary groaned as they slowly began to open. Cold morning air rushed through the winding gap, carrying with it the familiar scent of dust, rust, and distant decay. Beyond the walls, the wasteland stretched endlessly into silence. Kitti stood at the entrance with her pack resting against her shoulders and her cane in hand. Her stomach twisted so violently she thought she might be sick. Excitement twisted together with terror inside her, but for the first time in a long while, she felt alive. Around her, guards moved along the wall, preparing for the morning patrol rotations. Boots scraped metal platforms overhead, while rifles clinked against old barricades. But all Kitti could focus on was the open world waiting beyond the gate. Derek stood beside her in silence. She could hear it in the way he breathed, slow and heavy, like he was trying to force himself to stay calm. "You remember the route?" he asked for what was probably the 10th time. Kitti smiled faintly. Water tower, burned apartments, pharmacy, then straight back. And if something feels wrong, I leave. And if there's a horde, I leave. And if Derek. He stopped talking. Kitti reached out until her fingers found his wrist. I know. He let out a quiet breath through his nose. Right. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then footsteps came jogging toward them. Kitti! Evia. Kitti turned toward the sound immediately as Evia skidded to a stop beside them, slightly out of breath. You're leaving already? Evia asked. Trying to. Well, hold on, because I've got news. The excitement in her voice was impossible to miss. They approved it, she blurted out. Simon's moving me to patrol duty. Kitti felt a grin spread across her face. You're serious? Starting tomorrow, Evia laughed. Guess Derek finally bullied them enough. I barely said anything, Derek muttered. Your size is intimidating enough. That counts. Kitti laughed softly. Evia bumped her shoulder gently against Kitti's. So, she said, if you survive this one, you think there's room for me on your team next time? Kitti grinned. Only if you promise not to complain the entire run. No deal. Then I guess you're hired. Evia cheered loudly enough that even a few guards nearby chuckled. Then the gate finally finished opening. The noise echoed deep and hollow across the wasteland outside. Kitti's smile slowly faded as the reality of it settled over her. This was it. No Derek guiding her, no group surrounding her, just her. Derek stepped closer. You ready? He asked quietly. Kitti tightened her grip on the cane. Then she took a slow breath and stepped toward the open world beyond the walls. Yeah, she said. I am. The wasteland sounded different when she was alone. Every noise carried farther without the comfort of voices beside her. Wind scraped across abandoned buildings. Loose metal rattled somewhere in the distance. Far-off groans drifted through empty streets like ghosts wandering through the ruins. Kitti moved carefully along the cracked road outside the sanctuary, her cane sweeping steadily in front of her. Click, click, click. The rhythm kept her grounded. The air was cool this early in the morning, though heat already lingered beneath the rising sun. Dust shifted beneath her boots while broken pavement vibrated faintly through the cane each time it touched the ground. She was on the road. Collapsed curb to the left, open space to the right. Derek had spent months teaching her how to build the world in her mind piece by piece. Your ears are your eyes now, he used to tell her. Listen to the shape of things. At first, she thought that he was patronizing her. Eventually, she realized he was teaching her to listen in a way she never had before. Every sound bounced differently depending on what surrounded her. Open streets carried echoes wide and hollow. Alleyways trapped sound tighter. Walls pushed noise back at her faster. Echo mapping. That was what Derek called it. Kitti clicked her tongue softly against the roof of her mouth. The sound bounced outward. Open street ahead. Something large to the right? A car, maybe? Probably overturned from the way the echo broke unevenly. She continued walking. Click, click, click. Count your steps, she heard Derek's voice clearly in her head. Never trust memory alone. Kitti quietly counted beneath her breath while moving. 23 steps from the cracked intersection, 12 more toward the burned pharmacy. Avoid the collapsed sidewalk near the entrance. The cane struck rough debris. It had a different texture, perhaps broken glass. She adjusted immediately. Identify terrain before terrain identifies you. Another Derek lesson. Kitti smiled faintly to herself. A low, gurgling growl drifted somewhere ahead. Her body immediately stiffened. Rotter. The sound came wet and uneven, accompanied by the slow scrape of dragging feet. It was close. Very close. Kitti stayed perfectly still. Don't panic, she thought. Listen first. The growling deepened. Breathing mattered too. Some rotters wheezed through collapsed lungs. Some clicked their teeth constantly. Fresh ones sounded almost human from far away. This one sounded old. Slow. Probably alone. Kitti tilted her head slightly. 3 dragging steps. Pause. Another 2. Uneven movement. It could have a damaged leg. She tightened her grip around her cane. Derek's voice echoed through her mind again. You don't fight unless you have to. Kitti listened carefully. 1 rotter, no others nearby, plenty of open space. It seemed safe enough. I have to, she whispered to herself. Slowly, she collapsed her cane and slid it into her back pocket. Her fingers pulled the knife from her belt. The growling grew louder. Closer now. Kitti steadied her breathing. Knife placement matters more than strength. Base of the skull, upward through the jaw, or straight through the temple. The footsteps dragged toward her faster now after hearing her movement. Kitti waited. Closer. Closer. The smell hit her first. Rotten flesh baking in sunlight. Then came the ragged breathing directly in front of her. Now. Kitti stepped to the left side at the last second, just like Derek taught her. The rotter lurched past where she had been standing. She drove the knife upward with her right hand hard beneath its jaw. Crunch. The body jerked violently against her arm before collapsing at her feet. Silence. Kitti stood frozen, breathing hard. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. She had done it, completely alone. A laugh escaped her before she could stop it. Holy shit, she whispered. Kitti stood over the corpse with her chest rising and falling hard. The smell was awful. The adrenaline was worse. But beneath all of it, something bright and fierce burned inside her. Pride. A real kill. Alone. No Derek correcting her stance, no patrol stepping in to save her, no one treating her like fragile glass. Just her. A laugh escaped her lips again, breathless and disbelieving. I did it, she whispered. The wasteland answered only with a distant wind. Kitti wiped the blade against her jeans and slid it back onto her hip. Her hands trembled slightly from excitement as she unfolded her cane again. Click. She started walking. Her heartbeat still thundered with energy as she replayed the moment over and over in her head. The sound of the rotter's groans, the timing, the crunch of the blade connecting perfectly. She had done everything right. Derek was wrong. Everyone was wrong. She could survive out here. Click, click, click. The ground beneath her boots shifted slightly from pavement to loose dirt and gravel, but Kitti barely noticed. She felt light now, weightless, invincible. Wind swept stronger across her face. Open space nearby, probably another empty road. Click, click. Her cane swept outward again. Nothing. One more step, and suddenly there was no ground beneath her. Kitty's stomach lurched violently as her body dropped forward into empty air. Confusion flashed through her before instinct finally caught up. She tried to scream, throwing her hands outward to grab onto anything that might stop her fall. Crack. The side of her head smashed against rock. Pain exploded through her skull. Her body hit the bottom hard and twisted unnaturally against the dirt. Silence. For several long seconds, Kitti couldn't breathe. Warm liquid spread beside her face. Blood. Somewhere above her, wind whispered over the cliff edge. Then slowly, light. Kitty's eyes widened. Not darkness, not colors bleeding through blackness. Actual light. Blurry at first, painfully bright. Shapes swimming together through tears and blood. She could see. The sky stretched endlessly above her in faded shades of blue and gold. Clouds drifted lazily overhead while sunlight spilled across the canyon walls around her. Kitti gasped weakly. Her vision sharpened just enough to make out the new world she has spent years trying to imagine. A shaky sob escaped her lips. She could see. After all this time, she could finally see again. Blood filled her mouth as she tried to breathe. Her body wouldn't move. The warmth spreading beneath her grew larger. Kitti stared upward at the sky while tears slid down the sides of her face. The last thing she ever saw was the golden morning sun shining over the wasteland.